Morning, Jo. How are you?
Hi, Isabelle. Really good, thanks. Yeah.
Jo is the reuse manager at Bristol Waste, and she is responsible for running the reuse shop, and she's going to give us a tour today. I don't know if you want to start off by telling us a bit about yourself, or you want to just get cracking, walking around and showing us some bits and pieces.
I'll like say a little bit about who I am and then get on to the good stuff, all the amazing things we've got in here, much more interesting than me. But yeah, basically been working at reuse for 2 years, but at Bristol Waste for 4. So I was doing community engagement with the company before this, and just really felt along with some colleagues that there was a big opportunity at our waste recycling centres to do more and to reuse more. So a couple of years ago we just kind of started, and now it's all like culminated in this shop in Avonmouth. So really
it was basically your baby then, was it? So you and some colleagues came up with this idea yourselves and kind of were responsible for getting it sorted.
So I mean, it's not an original idea. Like other recycling centres have reuse shops, and other kind of councils run them. But we didn't have one in Bristol, and we'd visited a few, and it just seemed like a really brilliant idea. We were quite inspired, so we just thought we'd see if we could make it happen. Really.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really good. And hopefully, like having a look around this one will inspire some people from other places to maybe have a go and set up their own reuse shop. So let's have a look around.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping this is gonna work. I'm just gonna turn the camera on so you won't see me anymore. You'll just see the shop.
Okay.
This is me coming in the front entrance and just kind of looking straight ahead. We've got a one-way system, and just outside the door, I couldn't go outside because the Wi-Fi drops out, but we've got some hand sanitizer and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we ask everyone to wear a mask when they come in, so everyone's nice and safe. Heading this way. We have got our Christmas display, which hopefully you can see in all its glory. This is a whole like host of Christmas decorations and trees and all kinds of mad things. And all of this was collected last January.
And these are things that people were throwing away.
Yes. At the time, we weren't really doing much kind of collecting sort of officially. Like we weren't telling people how much we were doing. So it was more just like what the people on site, like our site operatives, were finding, and what myself and my colleagues were finding. So this is stuff that I suppose people were planning to take to the recycling centre, and then we intercepted it.
Wow, that's amazing that there's all that stuff that people just didn't want anymore.
I don't know if you can see, tell me if I'm pointing the wrong place, Isabelle, but these are my latest idea of what Christmas decorations could be.
Okay.
A teacup on like a little bit of ribbon, and beautiful. I feel like it's quite a cute option. But
I love it. It's great.
Then like coming along to like we've got a whole bookshelf area. So this is all books that people have dropped off in our book bank. We also have a partner, World of Books, who take a lot of our books as well.
Cool. And is that for sort of charity? Where do those books go? World of Books.
So World of Books are actually an online bookseller.
Okay.
So I believe they do have a kind of charity part to them as well. But mainly it's them reusing books, and if they can't reuse them, they recycle them.
Great.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
And then all this furniture as well.
By the way, Isabelle, tell me if my angle's crazy.
No, it's fine.
Awesome, cool. So all this furniture, so we've kind of got all kinds of different pieces, more contemporary stuff, and some older pieces as well. Something for everyone. We like to sell the bigger pieces quite cheaply to make it more accessible, but also it doesn't kind of make sense to hold on to really big things that are just taking up lots of space. So, for example, this rather nice pine chest of drawers is £15.
Gosh.
Which I think is quite a bargain, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just about making it something that everyone can be part of, and not just a really fancy charity shop.
Yeah. And so most of the stuff that you have here, obviously the Christmas decorations, you said that the people who donated those didn't necessarily know that they were donating them. They were sort of salvaged by your team. Is that the case with the furniture as well, or did people specifically bring stuff to you?
No, so like since we've kind of officially opened, which was in June, we have actually put the call out to ask people when they're coming to the recycling centre, if they have reusable items, to put it in our container. So we've got a container out on the lower level of the recycling centre, and that's where people can drop things off and put them in there out of the rain and the weather. So since June, it's been very much more proactive. It was just that last kind of January, or I guess January this year, last Christmas time, we hadn't opened the shop, so we didn't want to kind of put the call out for items, because we would have got so many and we wouldn't have had anywhere to put them or sell them because we didn't have the shop yet. So we just were a bit strategic because we knew that Christmas would come around. It always does. And having trees and decorations to put up in the shop and for people to buy was a good idea. So that's just something we kind of did. But with the furniture, people might have bought us it specifically. Our on-site staff are brilliant at noticing things as well. So they might approach someone and say, "Oh, excuse me, before that goes in the wood bin, perhaps could we have it for the shop?" And people are almost always brilliant about it because
And what sort of people have you had? People that have donated stuff who have then sort of looked around and gone, "Oh, actually, I think that looks quite nice. I might get that." Do people? Because I always do that in charity shops. I go in to donate my things, and then I'm like, "Actually, I'm going to buy this thing." So, do you get a bit of that?
Absolutely. It's quite funny. Like, people come, they've cleared out their attic or their spare room, and they're like, "Right, I'm gonna have loads of space at home." And then they come into the reuse shop and buy more things, which I think is brilliant, but maybe wasn't their original plan. Can't resist a bargain, and if it's the right thing, then hey, it's got to be done.
Absolutely. And so obviously you've sort of mentioned a bit about having the one-way system and the sanitizer. You kind of opened in the middle of all of this COVID stuff. So how has it been, and how have people reacted to what you're trying to do? Because I know secondhand things, kind of, there was a bit of a moment at the beginning when people were a bit unsure about buying things secondhand because of spreading COVID, and we know that that's not actually a big problem now, but have you seen people be worried about that?
I think there might have been some uncertainty to begin with, but having said that, our opening month was brilliant. So we did get a lot of custom in June. I think we reassured people by putting in place a few measures. So when people drop things off in our reuse container, it's all quarantined for 72 hours.
Right.
So that was like the amount of time the government kind of suggested COVID couldn't live on anything like hard surface wise for longer than that. And we also clean everything, excuse me, when it comes in the back. So we have a whole cleaning station, and we use the same kind of sanitizer that's used in supermarkets on things like trolleys and door handles and things. So I think we've taken quite a lot of precautions. And although I know some people do worry about it, I also think in some ways the pandemic has really highlighted so many other broader kind of environmental concerns. For example, I know lots of people are worried about all the single-use masks and where they might end up and things. So in a way, I think coming to the reuse shop and buying secondhand items, pre-loved items, is like a really nice sort of catharsis moment. People can feel good about themselves again. They don't have to feel bad if they're going shopping and buying things, because this is a kind of a good place to buy things, I would say. So I think there's kind of been mixed reaction, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose also it's really good for people, a lot of people at the moment are struggling and they've lost their jobs and things like that. So, if you can get stuff more cheaply, that you need, then that's really helpful as well. So kind of helping people in a number of different ways. So obviously we are now in December, and it is Christmas time, and you've already sort of shown us a few of those Christmas decorations. And I think Christmas is really a time of normally massive overconsumption. So I feel like maybe you could give us a bit of advice to people about how to kind of reduce that and be a bit more, a bit less sort of throwing things away over the Christmas period. Like, is there stuff that you can advise people on?
I mean, it is down to everyone at the end of the day, isn't it? But I mean, some easy wins is if you do buy gifts, like often people are in like a kind of secret Santa situation maybe, and they've got like say a £10 or £15 limit. I would say if you come to somewhere like a reuse shop or a charity shop, or buy things on eBay, like secondhand things, often you can get so much more for that £10 or £15 than you could if you bought it new. So it might be a bit wacky and a bit unusual, but then I think quite often it means that it's not a gift that person's going to get again. They are one-offs mainly. So for something a bit more interesting, a bit more out of the ordinary, perhaps a bit cheaper, I would say buying secondhand gifts is great. And one of the things we found is often people in December or late December or January have gifts they don't actually like. So then they donate them to places like here or charity shop. So it's not often some of the things we're selling are actually new in their wrapper. They just weren't wanted. So it doesn't even have to look secondhand, if you follow me. Like, it doesn't have to be something that's obviously been used or worn or anything. There's some great stuff out there. I also think making things, if you're like a bit creative or crafty, like making stuff's always a good shout. Everyone always seems to love a bit of like slow gin or anything like that. So, make something like that and just give people those things, and then it's something they can eat or drink, and then it's not just sitting at home unused or anything. So I think everyone's got to find a way to do it in kind of their own style. But yeah, it's good. It is really good to think about, because certainly we see in like the waste tonnages at this time of year, everything goes up, from recycling to general waste to food waste. We're collecting more over December for sure.
I wonder if it will be any different this year. I wonder if people are going to sort of minimize their Christmases a little bit. It'll be interesting to see, with everything that's been going on. So obviously, you mentioned that you took inspiration from other councils in setting this shop up, and we have had some inquiries from people about, how you got started and what you did to kick it all off. So it'd be really great to get some sort of tips for people that are thinking about setting something like this up in their own area.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say the main thing to think about is kind of how people are going to access it. So we chose obviously to do this at the recycling centre because it seems like the obvious point at which to collect items, but also it's then we've got like an audience that's already coming here to use the recycling centre. So then the shop gets a kind of footfall for sure. Whereas a high street, you're obviously competing with lots of other shops. And also you aren't at the place where the stuff's coming in. So that's why we felt like doing it at the recycling centre was a good idea. And I think things like having enough storage is always good to think about. We were amazed at how much space all this stuff takes up. And once you get started and people are donating, you obviously don't ever want to switch that kind of tap off. Like, you want to be able to keep accepting items, but if you haven't got the space to put it anywhere, that can get a bit tricky. So sell some shipping containers or find the back of a shed, or just try and make yourself some space. That's a really good tip, I'd say. And then finally, really just getting people involved. So we've got some amazing charity partners, people like Sofa Project, who we work with to reuse paint, Children's Scrap Store, who we've donated items to go into the scrap store, lots of bike projects, so charities in Bristol who are social enterprises and do great things with bikes. So all of those partners are able, we either donate items to them, or in some cases it's a very low cost transaction, but mainly donations. And then that's like spreading the reuse word just beyond us and links us into that kind of wider community.
Definitely.
A really good thing to be doing. And like getting people involved as well, getting volunteers involved. Our volunteers are incredible. We absolutely couldn't be doing what we're doing without them. And so far we have about 12. But since we've opened, they've given us over 1,000 hours of volunteer time.
Gosh,
which is unreal. Like,
that's amazing.
I can't believe that they're so generous with their time and their energy and their expertise. And everyone's got something they're really good at. We've got one volunteer who's really good at clocks. Like, he's real like clock enthusiast. So he looks at all our clocks for us and tries to tinker with them and get them working, which is amazing. Other people who are really good at electronics and kind of checking them and make sure they function right. So yeah, everyone's got something to offer. So if you can get volunteers involved, they're just brilliant.
That sounds really good. I mean, to be honest, it sounds like I would love to kind of just tinker around with all these bits and pieces that are brought in. It's kind of like being in your own little Aladdin's cave of people bringing stuff into you. But yeah, like it's wonderful that people are willing to give up their time, and presumably now that you're going to be 7 days a week kind of going forward, that's even more volunteers are needed. I mean, do you need more volunteers?
I mean, we're always open to more volunteers. We have a little web form on our website, at the Bristol Waste website, and it just asks real few simple questions about kind of where people are in life and what they're doing at the moment and kind of why they want to volunteer with us. It's really not an application form, it's more just like an introduction.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have roughly kind of every month or so, we do like a sort of meet and greet. So they come down to the site, because I think sometimes people maybe don't realise how far out of Bristol Avonmouth is. It is quite a trek in some ways from some areas. So yeah, we get them to come down, we have a cup of tea, and I talk to them about the sort of things that might be involved. And then if they're up for it and they're like, yeah, want to do this, we have a kind of more formal introduction where they get inducted into the company and they do some health and safety training. And I get their like emergency contact details, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, we kind of go from there. So yeah, people can check out the website and apply that way. Or if they want to get in touch directly with you, then I can send you the link for how to get there. But yeah, we're always keen for volunteers.
Yeah, cool. Well, hopefully we'll get some interested people after this. So just to kind of finish off, we are focusing on hope this December and the idea that, you know, after quite a difficult year for everyone, there's still loads of things to be hopeful about and loads of people who are doing amazing things in their communities. So obviously your initiative fills us with hope, but what fills you with hope? What are you hopeful about for next year?
So thinking kind of along reuse lines, more specifically than just in general, I'd say what gives me hope is how like exponentially busy we have got. So from starting in June, and it was a great start, but if I look at our figures for October and how much more footfall we had and how many things we passed on and sold and stuff, it is incredible. And it feels to me like, yeah, reuse is going places, and it's something that so many people are interested in and so many people want to do stuff with. So yeah, like that getting bigger fills me with real hope. I feel like we're on a trend towards more of it rather than like less of it. So yeah, I'm very hopeful about that.
Great, that's really lovely. Well, thank you very much, and it's really lovely to see the inside of the shop and to see how Christmassy and lovely it looks.
Amazing, thank you for that. Take it steady. Bye.
Bye.